Morning you guys, it's Karen and today I'm talking 2020 favourites again. Today is eye makeup. I'll do the eye makeup separate to the face makeup because there's already so many items here. I'm like, oh my goodness, how am I going to list all of these? So let's start with eye primer. This has been still my favourite over the whole year, and I have tried a lot of eye primers this year. I've tried the Anastasia Beverly Hills one, I've tried a couple of drugstore ones, like one from Barry M, quite a few, but this is my favourite. This isn't one that gives you any coverage, so it goes on clear and it goes on quite, it almost feels greasy, but not. So see, it just disappears. It feels silky, not greasy, that's what it feels like. But this has just been the best for me to bring out your eyeshadow. You know, it really makes your eyeshadow pop. But like I said, it's not giving you any coverage, but hopefully if you put an eyeshadow on top, then you don't really need it. So that's been my ultimate favourite. I like to always give you a drugstore option if I can. And so my runner-up, I guess you could say, is this Stay Perfect by No7. I just don't love it as much as the Smashbox one. This one has got a little bit more colour to it, but it's the same kind of texture. So you might actually prefer this one, some of you. But I found this sometimes came out funny, you know, sometimes it came out sort of separated, but that's definitely a good alternative because the Smashbox one is £20. But it's £20 and I've had this, I've got another one that I bought because I thought I was running out of this because you can see there's not much left. I'm sure I've had this for a couple of years, like it lasts forever, you know, once you've bought it, you're not going to need to keep on buying it every few months or anything, so I think it's worth the investment. Okay, eyeshadows. I tried to keep it small, but I've actually got six little palettes here to tell you about. 3 normal size palettes and 3 mini palettes, a single eyeshadow and a liquid eyeshadow. But I mean, you know, how would I ever be able to choose just one palette? The first one you will know about. It's the 18T, it's called Artistry Palette by Morphe. And this one is just, has never left my makeup bag. And that's really unusual for me. So I normally have 2 palettes in my makeup bag in the living room. One that is a kind of accompanying palette that I can use for everything, and another one where I'm going to take the lid colour from. And they normally change. So I've got the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance, which is a good accompanying palette. I've got a Tarte palette that's good, you know, that's all mattes normally, or mostly mattes. But this one, every time I've gone to swap up my makeup, I've just thought, no, I'm just going to leave this one in. So I think it's been there at least 6 months, maybe even more. And it's just brilliant. It's brilliant because it has so many different choices for crease colour, so many for outer corner colour, and there are colours like this one you can see I've used here that I can use on my lid if I want to. So I just love this. The quality of these shadows is really good. I think I'm about to hit pan on that one. That one's my absolute favourite, and I've said before it reminds me of MAC Malt if you use MAC. Then the other 2 I've chosen as favourites are both Anastasia. These are the ones that, you know, I looked through my drawer. I've got a top drawer in those, the top drawer in those IKEA drawers is all palettes of this size, and then I've got another drawer of kind of smaller type palettes. And these are the ones that I would grab if I had to just choose 2 out of my whole collection. There's others that I would miss that had like one colour in them that I loved. Like there's the Pat McGrath palette has got a colour in it that I love. And there's, yeah, lots of other palettes that are great as accompanying palettes or have got one or 2 eyeshadows in. But these are the only palettes where I can put these in my makeup bag and use a lot of the shadows in here. So this is the Sultry palette, and I like every colour in here except for that silver. I'm just not into silver shadow, so I've used every other shadow in there. In fact, I've hit pan on that, only just, I don't know if you can see that, love that creamy colour there. And I also like the brushes that come with these palettes. So love that one, and that's a real nice neutral one. And then this one is the Norvina palette. Very filthy though, isn't it? But again, with this one, the only colour I don't really use is that Drama. Oh no, I don't like this colour here. I don't like bluey kind of colours like that, bluey grey. But I think that would be lovely on the right colour skin, you know, but just not for me. But the rest of them I absolutely love. And I love the shadows. They're really soft, they're really easy to blend, really good payoff, don't fall down too much, really, really nice. Love those palettes. Then onto small palettes, and I chose these. These are the Huda Nude Nude Obsessions, I think they're called. This just says Nude Light and Nude Medium. I have actually got the dark as well, but I think there's only one colour in there I can use. This one is medium. And this one is light. One of these did break when I first bought it. That one fell out. But what I love about these eyeshadows is I can look at them and go, oh, I don't know which one to use. I don't know which one's my favourite. But whenever I use them, they always look unusual and they look like nothing I already owned. You know, they look really different on the eyes. They look really, really unique. Whereas I feel like looking at them, that one's a bit more unique looking, but this one looks fairly obvious, if you know what I mean. But when I put them on, I was always like, oh, that's really, really pretty, you know. And again, really nice shadows, really nice to work with. Yeah, love those. And the final one is a repeat, which I have to mention this. This is the Visart Theory in Amethyst. I still use this. In fact, this is another one I'm about to hit pan on that colour because that's my favourite colour. And just whenever I use this, it doesn't disappoint. You know, to be fair, I don't really use that red colour, but I use all of the other colours. I've done a look with just that, but that's my favourite one. And this in the crease, that kind of to blend out, and that in the outer corner looks absolutely gorgeous for a sort of real light mauvey type look, but that's not too purple, you know. It's lovely, really lovely, and I love Visart shadows. I wanted to give a mention to the Huda Beauty Matte and Metal eyeshadows because these are just gorgeous. This one is in Penthouse Suite and Cashmere Robe, and I've got the other one that's here is Private Jet and Shimmering Beach, something like that, and then I've got a lilac-y type colour, and these are just amazing. They're really, really easy to use. I actually really like the matte colours in there, but this one here is just beautiful. And I like these for, you know, if you do an eyeshadow look and you're like, oh, it's not quite as sparkly or bright as I expected, you can just add a little bit of the shimmery side onto the middle of your lid and it really kind of spices it up, you know, really makes it sparkle a bit. And they stay all day. They're really easy to use. They're easy to blend, you know, before they dry down. Love those, absolutely love those. So I would highly recommend them. If Kiko still do this, this is a great alternative if you want a drugstore version. This is, well, it doesn't say what it is, but it's kind of the same deal. Let's put it underneath that Huda one, because that's kind of the same deal in that it's brown. And the brown is a lot darker, the matte one. And then it's got, maybe they were trying to dupe it. So that's the Kiko one under there. That one is really good as well, but they had stopped doing these, so I don't know whether they still do. I'll link it if they're still available. And I didn't like the colour range in them, but they're just as good as the Huda ones. The final shadow to tell you about is actually a pigment. You guys know I love a pigment. This is my pigments storage. But if I had to grab just one, you would think it would be one of the shiny ones. And there are lots that I absolutely adore in there, but I would take this Bare Minerals one. And this is called Vanilla Sugar. And I just think this is an amazing eyeshadow for you if you know, some of us over 40 don't mind using sparkly eyeshadows. Some of us do. Myself, I don't like using anything glitter, but I don't mind a bit of sparkle. But this, if you don't want to use anything sparkly, this is amazing. It's just so pretty because it's satin. It's got a sort of sheen to it and it's sort of one stage above matte, and it's just honestly the most beautiful eyeshadow I've ever seen. You see, I have worn this quite a few times. I wear this if I want a more sort of natural look, and you guys do always compliment me on it. It's just such a beautiful shadow, and like I said, it's just sort of one step. If you are sick of using matte and you want to use something a little bit more, but you're a bit frightened of using sparkly eyeshadows or shimmery eyeshadows, this would be one to try. On to eyeliners now, and I've got quite a few to talk about because I use them for different things. So the first one, which will be no surprise to you, is what I do my top line with, and it's this. This is the NYX Matte Liquid Liner. I love that this has got a brush. This is not the felt tip that you get in a lot of them. It's an actual brush. It's beautifully thin, so you don't get a thick line, because a lot of eyeliners, to me, when you're doing your top line, just give you too thick a line, whereas this one you can get a nice thin line. It is liquid enough that you get a really intense line, but it doesn't run into your eyes. It doesn't smudge, it stays put all day long. I think this was probably the favourite last year, maybe even the year before. I always make sure I've got a backup. I just adore it. So that's the NYX matte liquid liner. You can also get one called Vinyl that's got a bit of a shine to it. Then on my outer corner, when I do a flick like I have done today, it's only a very tiny flick, but I actually like the felt tip liner for the outer corner, because I find with a liquid liner, I can do it with that liquid liner at a push. And if I was, you know, going on holiday, I'd probably just take my liquid liner, but you just have to hold your hand a bit more steady because it's more liquidy. Whereas with the felt tip, it dries instantly. So this one is called the NYX Epic Ink Liner. And it's just a really nice fine nib and gives a really nice crisp line. And I've had this for a while and it's not drying up, because I've got a few that are okay. You know, I've tried a few that are okay for the first little while and then they dry up, but this one is great. It works over shadow and everything, and it just is perfect to do that little flick. The reason I don't use this for the main line, again, I could, you know, just take this one away and make do with it, but I don't find they're as good, the felt tip type liners, on top of shimmery shadows. I think if I wore matte shadow all the time, this would be all I would need. But I love that. Then finally, I do my top waterline with a kohl pencil, and I have to say, still my favourite is the Milk Makeup one, which is the most expensive of all the ones that I've been trying lately. I've been pleasantly surprised that I have found eyeliner pencils that are staying in my waterline. And it's taken me years. It took me years to get to the point of finding this Milk Makeup one, and it was by a friend, Holly, told me about it. I never even thought, I'd just kind of given up on buying pencils to put in the waterline, but then I found that one that worked. I then tried is this the Beauty Bay one? Yeah, this is the Beauty Bay own one, and this is really good as well. The only thing with this is, why it's not a favourite, is that I'm finding I'm now having to go over it a couple of times. So I talked about this in my haul when it was new and I thought it was brilliant, but now maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm really having to go over it a couple of times to get any pigment from it. So it's almost as if, I don't know, maybe if I sharpened it, it would probably work a bit better. But that's the only difference. So if you want a drugstore version of the Milk Makeup one, then the Beauty Bay one is great. And also I've been using the Flower Beauty one, the Drew Barrymore makeup range. And that one's pretty good as well, but I've not been using that for long enough to say whether or not it's a favourite. For mascara, I have got two actually that I've really enjoyed this year, but I'd still be happy to try other mascaras. I wouldn't say that either of these are holy grail status, but they've definitely been my favourite of all the ones I've tried, which is a lot. And the number one would be this. This is the Gosh Rebel Eyes Skinny Bee. So you know that I love a skinny brush. You know that I like a natural bristle brush, and that's what this is. It's super skinny. You can see it just looks like an extension of the wand. I love this. I absolutely love this. So this would be my number one choice. This will be the one I repurchase when I use up all of these. And then the second choice would be this Kiko one. This is the one that I'm currently using up, and that's what the brush looks like. Now this is a really odd brush. Again, this reminds me of one from MAC, but it's not quite as thin, but it's very, very short. Now, I will link this for you, but it's not in the same packaging. This was the sort of limited edition packaging when I bought it, but they do still do this mascara. Both of them are, what do I look for from a mascara? They're not waterproof. I think the Kiko one comes in a waterproof. I don't know whether the Gosh one does, but they're both good at separating, because I don't like it when your lashes are all clumped together. But neither of them are brilliant for volume, because it's more important to me to try and get a bit of length, because I've got a fair amount of lashes, but they're not very long at all. So it's more important to me to get length. So these are more for sort of definition and length as opposed to volume. But yes, they're my favourites. Oh God, the sun is coming out and it's gonna disturb us, but that's okay. We've only got 2 items to go. On to eyebrows. And I knew instantly what my number one would be, and it is this NYX Micro Brow Pencil. The colour I have got on today is in chocolate, and I think that's probably the best for me, although I can get away with using taupe. The Auburn one is just too red for me, but I just love these pencils. They seem to last ages, which is weird because I used to get the Anastasia Beverly Hill micro pencil and it just seemed to run out really quickly, but these ones always seem to last me forever. They last me so long that I can't tell what colour it is because it rubs off. But I love the little spoolie on the end. You know, I use that, use the pencil and I'm done. It's just so quick. But also my favourite, still my favourite, is the Anastasia Beverly Hills powder. So this is in caramel. This one, I feel like when I use this one, my brows look a bit more natural. They don't look so sort of blocky, but it takes me a lot longer to use this, you know, to use the right brush and get the right strokes kind of thing. It's not as quick as using the pencil, but I do still absolutely adore this. Oh my goodness, that is everything. That is everything for eyes. I haven't missed anything, have I? Eyeshadow, mascara, eyeliner, brows. Yeah, I'll do under eye concealer and whatnot in with the face one that I will be doing soon. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I love watching these favourites, and I know a lot of you kind of look forward to seeing them as well. Let me know what your eye favourites are, if there's anything here that's your favourite as well, and let me tell you what I've got on. I have got on the Kat Von D True Portrait Foundation. On my eyes, I actually brought it through to show you. It's this palette. Now, I would have included this in favourites because I do love this palette, but it's another one of those where I really only use the one shadow, and it's this one called Ballsy. And that's what I've got on my eyes. So it's the Jaclyn Hill Bling Boss palette. I do like the rest of the colours, but I put them on and I'm like, yeah, they're okay. You know, it's really just this colour that I love. I would like to try that one, but I don't like me in darker colours. But anyway, that's what I've got on my eyes. On my cheeks is the Urban Decay blush in Obsessed. On my lips is the Stila liquid lipstick in Perla, and I used the CYO lip gloss on top. And that's everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.